Flieger, 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 Flieger. Flieger, Flieger, tomato, tomato, doesn't matter what you call them. These World War II pilots' watches are very, very cool, but they're not the only pilots' watches out there, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It's 12:30 p.m. Let's get down to business. Okie dokie, so I'm willing to wager that when most people picture a pilot's watch in their head, they're often thinking of either a Flieger Type A or Type B. So what's the difference? Well, a Flieger Type A is a big black dial watch with big bold Arabics from 1 to 11 and a triangle at the 12 o'clock. And a Flieger Type B is again another big black dial watch with big white minute Arabics from 5 to 55 and then again a triangle at the 12 o'clock. But most Type Bs also retain an inner ring with hour Arabics. So you're getting the minute Arabics and the hour Arabics. Now again, these World War II pilots' watches, very interesting history. They're often incredibly durable even in their old age, and they often have big oversized crowns so you can easily change the time zone if you're wearing flight gloves. Very, very cool watches, but again, they're not the only pilot's watches that exist, and I've made a list of 5 very cool non-Flieger pilot's watches that I want to share with you today. First up, the Breitling Navitimer, specifically the 806, the first Navitimer ever. Very cool watch. Now the 806 came out in 1952, again making it the first Breitling Navitimer ever. Now this specific reference number was powered by a Valjoux 72 movement. And another cool thing about the Breitling Navitimer is that it was the official watch of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. Very, very posh. Now guys, you know there's been numerous iterations of the Breitling Navitimers throughout the years. I own one. If you want to see my review and what happened to it, I'll give you a hint. It took a little swim by accident. You can click up here and watch that. Maybe I'll link the video, what is a chronograph, because I show that watch there. I still have it, don't worry. Again, way back when, it got a little wet. Now one of the main complaints about the Breitling Navitimers is that they have a very, very busy dial. And they do, but they often come with a ton of functionality, especially with that pilot's slide rule. So guys, a very, very cool watch, probably one of the most famous chronographs ever aside from the Omega Speedmaster. I love this watch, definitely a pilot's watch, and it's not a Flieger. All right, number 2 on the list of non-Flieger pilot's watches, the Oris Big Crown Pro Pilot. You knew I had to add it on the list. One of my favorite everyday watches that happens to be a pilot's watch. Now this Pro Pilot is 41 millimeters around and about 12.2 millimeters thick. It still lays very, very flat on your wrist. It's got a sapphire crystal. It's got a 100-meter water resistance rating with a threaded crown. Absolutely one of the most versatile pilot's watches. Such a great everyday piece. It's not huge, it's not small, it's very, very legible, and it's got a big crown in pilot watch fashion. Now this watch is powered by a Sellita automatic movement. You're getting hacking and hand wind, a very, very smooth second hand. One really cool detail about this watch is the coin edge serrations on the bezel, and it's said that this was kind of a nod to a jet engine. Very, very cool. Now guys, this Oris Big Crown Pro Pilot is absolutely one of my favorite watches in my collection. Honestly, one of my go-to everyday pieces. You're getting that durability, sapphire crystal, 100-meter water resistance rating with a threaded crown. So this watch can really handle whatever you throw at it, and that's why it's one of my go-to everyday watches that I can just grab and throw on the wrist. And it looks really, really cool. So guys, check it out, Oris Big Crown Pro Pilot, another very cool non-Flieger pilot's watch. All right, the next non-Flieger pilot's watch on the list is kind of a controversial pick, the Heuer Octavia. And we're not talking about the Tag Heuer Octavia isograph. That does not deserve the Octavia name, okay? We're gonna ignore that those ever were invented. We're gonna look at the original Heuers. Okay, so the real Octavias, again, from Heuer, came out around 1962. They had huge subdials and they were known as the Big Sub Octavias. Now guys, these early Heuer Octavias were powered by various Valjoux movements. Again, these watches came out around 1962. Some of them had the Valjoux 72 movement, the same movement that the Breitling Navitimer 806 had, had. So again, some similarities there, but these watches I think are even more beautiful than the Breitling Navitimer 806. Again, those huge subdials. They had a 2-register version and a 3-register version. I would love to get my hands on one of these big subs. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon though, because they are very, very sought after. Again, incredibly legible dial, very, very sharp hands. And the biggest bummer is that these really cool Octavias, you know, they made their way from being a military pilot's watch to being an F1 race car watch, and they have nothing to do with the Tag Heuer Octavia isograph. So it's just a really big bummer that a company like Tag Heuer is going to piggyback off their own history, destroy their heritage. What does the isograph have to do with these Octavias? Absolutely nothing. So why use that name? It just doesn't make sense to me. But nevertheless, the Heuer Octavia big sub, very, very cool non-Flieger pilot's watch. All right, next watch on the list is another controversial pick because it's Chinese, the Siegel 1963 chronograph. Now guys, this is a 38mm chronograph, 21 joule hand wind movement, probably the easiest way to get into your first mechanical chronograph watch. And it's beautiful, champagne dial, blue hands, really, really cool setup. But again, it is Chinese made, and it's a huge bummer that people will be turned off from this watch simply because it's made in China. Guys, really interesting watch, and again, very easy to get into your first mechanical chronograph. With this one, I own one, a ton of other hardcore enthusiasts own them. Very, very interesting watch. You should pick it up. And yeah, Siegel is one of the largest producers of watches, period. And yeah, very interesting piece here. Siegel 1963, definitely not a Flieger, but if you look back at its history, it was a military pilot's watch. All right, guys, which brings us to the last watch on the non-Flieger list. Now, guys, this is one of the coolest watches on the list. And most people don't even know that it's a pilot's watch, Rolex GMT Master. Guys, most people think that this watch is just another Rolex diver, but it's not. If you look back at its marketing, it was a pilot's watch. And again, how much more do I have to say about the Rolex GMT Master? 40mm, prolific oyster case, threaded crown, at least a 100-meter water resistance rating, automatic, GMT complication, date window with Cyclops. I know some people hate that. And a bi-directional rotating bezel. Again, most people just assume this is a diver because of how it looks. But when you look back at the old school ads, it was marketed as a pilot's watch, and it makes sense when you look at that movement, that GMT movement. Very, very cool. So guys, I mean, come on. Oyster case, threaded crown, it's got that Rolex durability, such a functional, such a fun watch, absolutely not a Flieger, but absolutely a pilot's watch. So the Rolex GMT Master has to be on the list. And there you have it, guys, 5 non-Flieger or non-Flieger, whatever you want to say, pilot's watches. And I want to hear from you, okay, which ones would you choose on this list and which ones did I miss? Do you have a pilot's watch that you love that isn't really considered a Flieger Type A or Type B? Let me know. Teach me something. I want to hear from you in the comment section. And you know what, guys? Why not throw in your favorite Flieger watches? I'd like to hear about those too, and maybe I'll make an episode about those. So stay tuned, guys. Again, leave me a comment. If you enjoyed this episode, what are you doing? Go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon. I upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and a live Q&A every single Saturday, rain or shine. So be there. And if you really, really love this channel and you want to go above and beyond, click the link in the description below and check out the Time Teller shop. I got watches, watch accessories, watch winders, watch toolkits even. It truly is the one-stop shop for the watch collector like you, and you might even be able to find some of these pilot's watches there. So click that link, shop around, and you help me out a ton. So as always, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time, I just tell it. Real quick, if you enjoyed this episode, then do not worry, the fun doesn't need to stop here. Check out these recommended episodes that are going to be popping up on the screen anytime now. Also, take a moment, check out my brand new channel, the Time Away channel. It's where I talk about everything outside of the watch world, some of my other collections, some of my other hobbies. And if you're not interested in any of that, don't worry, just stay right here and I will see you right here. Because I never leave. I am trapped inside of this camera. Flieger. I don't know what to say. Let me do that again. My toupee.